What's up everybody, Chad here for a late night video, and it is indoors. As you can tell, we are not in the Tacoma, we're actually in my room, and I wanted to take a chance to actually record inside because I've definitely gotten some good feedback from you all saying that when I record in the truck, especially if I'm going down the highway, particularly when I'm going a little bit quick down the highway, around 75 or so miles an hour, it is difficult to hear me. For whatever reason, the GoPro Hero 5 camera that I have does not pick up my voice very well, and it can be difficult, especially like the last video that I released when it was particularly windy outside. I was not only driving quickly down the highway on my way to work, but also it was very windy outside, and with the GoPro being so close to that windshield there in the Tacoma, it does not make for the best audio quality. So I'm indoors, it's a little bit later, and honestly, today it was a very rainy day, so it was not a great day to record down here in the Triangle of Raleigh. So today's video is all about the upcoming OVTune version 2.0 for these 3rd Gen Tacomas. Now, this is something that I've talked about a decent amount before, but I wanted to kind of touch on some exciting features that are actually documented on OVTune's website. For reference, that is OVTuned.com, so you can go and check that out for all the products they have, as well as developments and things that are going to be coming available. This is the true documentation where you can always find true information, whereas if you are on Tacoma World, a lot of it is going to be hearsay and things that people are saying and speculating. Of course, OVTune, Matt and his team do post on there every once in a while and kind of get some ideas and put out information to people on there because they know that is the quickest way to get in touch with their fan and product base, myself and a lot of you included. So one of the features that I am actually most excited about is they are going back to a very similar pattern of how Toyota implemented different modes of driving for your Tacoma. So for instance, when you take your shifter, put your foot on the brake, and then shift into D, drive. That is your standard drive mode. That is still going to be the same for the OVTune version 2.0 as it has before. That is one version of how you can be driving it of the 3 that OrangeVirus is going to be implementing. Now, another thing that they are bringing back, this is the second one on the list, is that they are implementing their performance mode, or power mode, if you will, by doing just how Toyota originally did it, and that's meant for their like tow haul mode, for instance, but that is the ECT power button. When you press that, it switches the map, and it is going to be for the performance version of it. So no longer is it going to be you can download a standard tune or the performance tune. You can have them all as part of 2.0. So you can have your standard drive by not engaging ECT and putting the shifter down and into drive. That is how that is going to be. And then the third one, that is going to be the, excuse me, I'm having a hard time remembering it all of a sudden, the shift lock. So when you go, or gear lock rather, so when you shift down to drive and then bump it over into S, that is automatically going to be putting it into the gear lock mode. So the cool thing about the new version in 2.0 of gear lock is that you no longer have to put it into S mode and press the ECT button for the automatic transmission Tacomas. You just have to bump it down into S, and there you will be in their new version and shift mapping of the S mode in gear locking. So one other thing that's going to be kind of cool is that if you want to be using that S mode specifically for towing, they recommend doing this. If you want to look at this as like a 4th version, it's more dedicated for towing. So when you do press the ECT button when it's in S mode, that is meant to be dedicated for towing, and one of the coolest parts of all this is that it fully eliminates Atkinson mode. So there's no way that you could possibly be in the higher efficiency mode, and then your truck is going to be getting the full power that it possibly can at all times, even when descending down a grade. It's going to be using full engine power regardless. So I think that is something really neat and thoughtful that OVTune had packed into this new update, because the important thing when towing is that you have maximum power, especially when you're going up a grade. And obviously the Tacomas are not meant by any means to be towing any large loads or anything really over 6,500 pounds, depending on your configuration, but it still is going to make you as competent as you can, and make the truck as great as it can be when towing. So that is one really thing that's neat about that. And also, I wanted to touch on the manual transmission trucks. For those, so this is the FOB, as it is referred to, which means Full Auto Version B. There was a Version A, I believe a little over a year ago, but this is going to be Version B, and it's getting completely recalibrated for the manual transmission Tacomas. And OVTune, of course, has changed around the fuel injection code for that, because it turns out it's a lot easier to more finely tune throttle angles and everything for the manual transmission trucks. Toyota had built in a bit of a different way that they did torque calculations for each gear, and it's easier to do because you take out the necessity of obviously having a torque converter. You don't have those on a manual transmission, and when you have a torque converter that can be locked, unlocked, or half-locked, 3 different ways you have to change obviously how the computer does react to a few different throttle inputs, because the automatic transmission does take into account a little bit more than a manual transmission does for shifting and whatnot, obviously, because you are the one who's going to be doing it. And obviously all these different modes are 87, 91, and 93 octane compliant, which of course has been around for a little while with OVTune, which is definitely nothing different than what they've done before. Kind of just scrolling through the posts that they've made here on their website. I will link that in the description below. The last thing that I did really want to touch on with this is that when reading through this, I thought, oh, this seems pretty, it's pretty similar to things that they have done here in the past, but that does happen to be where OVTune is kind of going back to the way Toyota had done things before with the current Tundra and the second-gen Tacoma, so the 05 to 2015 Tacoma. And that is having a single torque table. So when you were driving your auto transmission Tundra and or Tacoma, that was a more predictable driving experience. When you put your foot down, say halfway, you really knew how it was going to feel. With these third-gen Tacomas, they, from the factory, came with so many different possibilities, and you couldn't really predict how the truck was going to react if you gave it full throttle or half throttle or whichever it may be. Depending on the needs that the truck and computer determined at one time, it could react in a completely different way, which really threw people off and really attributed that to the crazy driving experience that some people were having with their third-gen Tacomas, especially when they came out in 2016 and even 2017. It seems like Toyota has refined it over the years. It has obviously seen posts online like on Tacoma World. They obviously know of OVTune and what they're doing, so they're taking a page out of their book and changing things around. And the most recent Tacoma I have driven was a 2019. It was a TRD Off-Road 2019 double cab short bed. And when I drove that, obviously, it was on the factory tune, but it felt a whole lot better. It was very, very smooth. It accelerated very predictably, and it didn't really hunt for gears all that much, and it stayed power band instead of shifting to the highest gear as quickly as possible for efficiency purposes. So that wasn't something that I had to combat, and this vehicle had, I think it was 20-some thousand miles on it, so it definitely wasn't brand new. It was, it had definitely learned from people's driving. This had happened to be a rental vehicle that a buddy of mine had actually rented when he had come down to visit, but we drove that around for a little bit, so it was interesting to see that difference. But one thing to say is I'm glad that Toyota is learning that they need to change some of this stuff, but also for those of us that want to have these tuned trucks and take advantage, full advantage of our trucks, I'm glad that OVTune is kind of going back to a single torque table and making it a lot more predictable. So I'm really excited to see what the final polished product is going to be like. Like I told you all a few months ago, I am still testing stuff out for OVTune, and I'm glad to see that they've taken into account things that I've kind of thrown at them, and also what the large population of people want. And one of the most exciting things about all of this that I'm just talking about is that their goal is to get this out to everybody by Christmas. So it will be released on their downloader. If you do have that, currently, make sure it is the most recent version. They do have a new version on their website that they do want everybody to download. It is the Flash Manager 1.3.0, and it is released with a new data logger. I have not gotten a chance to use the data logger yet, but it is definitely a newer, updated Flash Manager that should be a bit better than the one that they were using, and their logger looks really phenomenal. It's got a lot of stuff packed in there that you can use, and when you hook up to your truck, you can see all the different vitals on your truck, very similar to the little display that I have for my truck. I'm having a hard time remembering what that's called right now, but it has those various PIDs on it, very similarly to what OVTune's new logger has. So to just read down this list, they have improved functionality. There's a dongle version for tunes that has been removed to a menu option. The new version of their data logging program is included with all of it, like I said, and specifically for the data logger. High-speed logger that works with our OBD2 V3 flash cables, various PIDs and Society of Automotive Engineering PIDs, as well as more PIDs and modes are going to be included in the next release. So just continue to update it, and they will have more included in there. Hopefully, if they can update it so you all on your computers can get transmission temperatures. Like I said, that's on the display that I have in my truck now, but hopefully they'll actually get that included with future updates, and of course it's going to record and save this data to a CSV file for you to view and look over, and if there's anything that looks kind of funny for those of you that really want to take a look at it, you can send those over to OVTune, and obviously they can really decode that and check it out for you. But in a little over a week now, you all will definitely be having something from OVTune, I would say, at the very latest, right before 2019 ends and we head over into 2020. I know OVTune's got a lot coming out for trucks in the future. They're going to be focusing heavily on the Tundra since they have now gotten a lot more interest in that, so they already have some stuff in the works for that, and tunes for all sorts of stuff, and obviously for the Tacoma working on boosted versions, so superchargers and turbochargers. Definitely keep a look on Tacoma World for all the updates on that, because that's some pretty cool stuff to see, that there's going to be some boosted Tacomas that are going to be out on the streets, so keep an eye out for those. If you all do have any questions or comments, please do leave those below, and of course, when we have this holiday coming up here soon, Christmas time and everything else going on, definitely take time to spend it with your families, loved ones, and everybody, because you know, this is a time of year to be not only thankful. I know we're past Thanksgiving, but it's never a bad time to be thankful, but definitely always just be thankful for the things that we have in our life, our Tacomas, and this great community that we have, and the lives that we are enjoying right now and about to head over into this new decade. So, thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week and holiday. We will be back in 2020 sometime. We're going to be taking another break here at the end of 2019 to, like I said, spend time with our families. And so anything else that's going to be coming here in the future, expect it in early 2020. This is Chad signing off, and we will see you in the next one.